Arteta as well as Fulham take all 3 points, beating Arsenal by 2-1. And this poor run of form for Arsenal continues, doesn't it? And it affects their position very much in the table. They had the possibility to go top. However, that defeat against Fulham leaves them fourth in the table. They're just 1 point adrift of Spurs, who we'll talk about a little later on. We welcome into the show former Arsenal defender Kieran Gibbs is with us. We also welcome Mark Ogden. We're hearing from the boys.
Let's just go there.
Why?
It's New Year's Eve. Let's go and see Kieran suffer here.
just wallow in his misery.
Come on, talk us through the demise, Kieran, of the last week or two.
All right, Craig. All right, mate. It's been a Christmas to forget. It's been a Christmas to forget for sure. It's been a reality check. It's a reality check. It wasn't the team that we've been accustomed to. It's probably the worst I've seen them play for a long time, actually. They started bright. But yeah, everything that we've associated with them over the last 18 months just wasn't there to see. That relentless pace, power, urgency. They didn't manage to get Eddie into the game enough. Shaka and Martinelli started well, but they faded pretty early, run out of ideas. And I think most importantly, they'd lost that stubbornness that they've had throughout this season, which they've needed, which has gotten them results. That's faded as well a little bit. So I feel like teams are starting to suss them out a little bit more now, which I thought might happen actually after last season. You know, teams are taking them a lot more seriously. The wingers are getting less space. Odegaard's getting less space. I'd like to see them mix their game up a little bit in the new year, and maybe get someone in up top that can just allow them to go a little bit more direct. You know, it might just allow the game to open up a little bit for Saka's, Martinelli's, Odegaard's. But you know, it's not all doom and gloom. They're still in the mix. They just need to regroup.
Arteta said it was the worst performance of the season.
That was 9 out of 10, by the way, for being miserable about Arsenal.
Oh yeah.
Well, most of us went for an Arsenal win. I think everybody, and I think it was because Fulham had lost the last two, including against Burley, and we were looking for a response from Arsenal, which I think we all felt we would have seen and we would have got, and they needed. So we didn't get that. But I mean, I could probably go through the whole side here, or every department of the side, and say, we've talked at length about the goalkeeper, but it wasn't really his fault today. But that's sort of a conundrum that has been thrown out this year. The two fullbacks, caveat today, but if we're thinking about White and Zinchenko, when Zinchenko goes into the middle of the park, they get something a bit extra, and when he's back at left back, he looks quite weak. And Ben White's solid, but they're not getting a lot attacking-wise from their fullbacks at this moment in time. I absolutely reiterate my point that the Havertz in the middle of the park is not working as it should and will not see them to a title. And Kieran's right. I think teams are starting to double up and snuff out the two wide guys, and when you are able to take particularly Shaka out of the game for long periods, that's a problem. I don't think Odegaard has been brilliant, and of course they're struggling with an out-and-out guy up front to score goals. But then there is a counter-argument to the goals. It's they need the service. And they're not even getting the service at the moment to the striker. I think also what I'd like to see is less padding of stats in the middle of the park with these little passes, and see a few more people, particularly Odegaard and Rice or whoever's in there, clipping a few more little balls over the top. Trying to thread the needle a little bit more. And if 6 or 7 passes don't come off out of 10 or 12, then so be it. But I'm always of the mindset, certainly when I played and I had somebody like Henrik Larsson up front or whoever it was, if I played 3 or 4 bad passes and the crowd got on my back, that's fine. But if I played 1 or 2, out of those passes, if 1 or 2 came off and he made those runs and he got on the end of it, I'm happy. And I just feel it's a little bit too safe at the moment for this Arsenal side, and there's a lot of thinking to do for Mikel Arteta over the next couple of weeks, about the transfer window, about his team selection, and about how he's going to pick them up for the second half of the season.
What impressed us so much last season about Arsenal throughout most of the campaign, Shaka says, never say die.
Yeah.
You know, we saw those late equals, those late winners. But here, who's that? Here, like, once Fulham took the lead, there was no response.
There was no response at all. And the most amazing thing about this game for me is how much of it Fulham actually controlled. You know, I'm expecting a high-energy Arsenal who's pressing Fulham, forcing them into mistakes. We know the quality that they can have. But that never came. And Fulham, in the end, had control of the ball, pinned Arsenal back. Arsenal just kind of sat deep, allowed Fulham to play. And the build-up before the first goal, as much as Fulham's equaliser came as a counter-attack, Fulham had the ball for about 5 minutes before that, and then kind of broke, and then they broke on them. And then once Fulham do get back on level pegging, there's simply no response. There's no change of anything. Craig says I'm not sure if you're suggesting that Fulham do a good job of taking Shaka out of the game. I think Shaka at this point is just taking himself out of the game. You see the one chance that he had, and that really summed up Shaka, not just today, but of recent weeks. And that, for me, is a concern, because you've been able to rely on Shaka or Martinelli or Odegaard at times. Late on in games, you've seen Rice pop up with goals. That kind of papers over the fact that, as we were saying earlier in the week, up front, they still don't have that out-and-out striker. Jesus wasn't doing it earlier in the week, and Nketiah didn't offer an awful lot today. And so when Arsenal needed a goal, and you inevitably you're looking in that number 9 position, you're coming up blank.
Mark, we saw obviously post-match Arteta being frank about not only what he saw on the pitch, but looking ahead to January, he said, no, this is the team, we won't be doing any business.
They haven't got any money. I mean, let's be honest, they haven't got the headroom to bring in a striker like Ivan Toney or Victor Osimhen. They just haven't got it. They spent over £200 million in the summer, and you know, these FFP regulations or the Premier League's sustainability rules, they do have some teeth now, as Everton have discovered. So clubs don't want to be infringing those rules, and Arsenal don't have the funds to bring a striker in. Now, you could argue that maybe they invested badly in the summer by spending so much on Havertz when they could have put that aside for a striker. But they chose to take Havertz, and now they've got a problem because obviously most clubs want Ivan Toney because he's a proven Premier League goal scorer and he's back available again in mid-January. But Arsenal's problem is that Chelsea want him too, and Chelsea always find the money. But Brentford probably won't want to sell because, you know, Brian Mbeumo is going to be out for 2 or 3 months. They really need Ivan Toney around just to keep them in the Premier League. So the options for Arsenal are quite thin on the ground. They might do a loan, but the proper option of signing a proper centre forward isn't open to them because they spent, I think it was over £200 million in the summer, so they haven't got that headroom, like I say, to go and buy somebody in January to make the difference. I mean, if they brought somebody in, it could be the difference between winning the title and not, but the longer they leave it without a striker, the more they're going to fall away.
Right, so that's it. So it's all going to be down to Arteta now to try and work out how he can fix this problem in attack. How would you deal with it? How do you address that?
Well, you saw what Fulham did. Early balls into the box. I think, you know, too much back and forward and sideways and back and out the other side, and that's allowing teams to get back in and you know, make it difficult and sit deep for them. So I think I really feel they need to quicken up the play again.
Yeah.
I feel it's become a little pedestrian and a little slow in the build-up, and I just feel they need to inject a bit of pace into the game as well. And again, I think we have to see more of Trossard, less of Havertz, to be honest, in the starting 11. And I agree with Mark in a sense. I mean, there was 2 players that were really sought after in the summer, it seemed, was Mason Mount, who's not a bad player, but Man United were hell-bent on spending a fair chunk of money on them, and they themselves had restrictions in their spending ability. And Arsenal and Kai Havertz, which, you know, Mikel Arteta had this thing in his mind that this is going to be the midfield that's going to take us to the next step, and it quite frankly hasn't been. Now, they're not a million miles off the top. Of course they're not, and this is not a disaster for them, but there's nothing that's showing, certainly with Havertz in the side, in this position, that they're any better than they were last year. So he's going to have to solve the midfield. If he can't solve the midfield, he won't win the Premier League, because if the midfield's not functioning, the front line will not function. And think about it. The most successful team in England at the moment are Manchester City. They do not carry passengers. If they have passengers, they're out the team. Somebody else comes in, the conveyor belt keeps going. If that person struggles, they're back out. So he's going to have to figure out who he can rely on and who he can't. You're not going to win the Premier League carrying one or two players. Manchester City don't do it, and others don't. And if Arsenal continue to carry players like they are at the moment, it's quite simple. They're not going to win the title.
Kieran, you were back in England. You in fact saw Kai Havertz score in the clash against Brighton. However, you look at games like today, and as Craig says, he looks like a passenger.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously missed the last game, but he was quiet today. He was quiet. I think, for me, if you're not going to go and get a striker and go all out offensively and just try and blow teams away, then Craig's right. You need to shore up the midfield and just try to shut up shop. They've kept one clean sheet, I think, in the last 7, which that's not the Arsenal that we've seen over the last 18 months. So, it's probably the best idea to go and get someone like a Douglas Luiz or...
They haven't got any money, Kieran. They haven't got money.
Yeah, but you can swap players.
Oh, who's going to...
You can swap players. There's deals to be done there for sure. It's Emile Smith-Rowe, there's Eddie, there's other players. There's definitely deals to be done there, I think, in this window for something. But if I was to do anything, I would probably shore up the midfield and just hope that in the second half of the season that Shaka, Martinelli, Odegaard come alive like they did last season and just manage to hit form at the right time. That would be my hope.
But it's up to the manager now, isn't it? I mean, he had lots of praise last year. I don't think anybody blamed him really for Arsenal falling away at the end and City coming through like a train. I don't think anybody with any common sense thought, oh, that was terrible from Mikel Arteta. They lost Saliba, they had some defensive problems, they had a smaller squad, they ran out of steam. They were the best team for quite a considerable time. They aren't this year. They're just not the best team at this moment. They've had their little moments, but it's up to him now, isn't it? He's as Oggy said, he's nailed his colours to the mast with the budget. It is now up to him to solve the problems.